welcome into another episode of Grit inside Manhattan Beach Studios. I'm Victoria Dennis alongside Meg Burgdorf. Joining us is Shannon Sneed with...
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Obviously, we've just gone through a very, very extensive natural disaster here in Los Angeles that has really rocked our community. And you're on the front lines now with Americorps. Can you tell us a little bit about what is happening in your role?
Yeah. So CERC is through Americorps. I am a volunteer. I'm also a fellow. So through my work through CERC, I am learning all about the disaster, what we could do to prepare, mitigate, prevent, educate the community as well. And part of our service is that we're deployed. So right now we are currently deployed. We're at YMCAs throughout the LA County. And we're also at the Disaster Response Center. There are two of them. There's one in LA and there's one in Pasadena. So the one in LA is the one I'm at. And it's currently serving people that have been affected by the Palisades fire. What we're doing at the Disaster Recovery Center is providing services for everybody that's affected. And it ranges from federal, state, county, city, the local cities of Malibu and Los Angeles. And we also have our, the nonprofits that are there helping as well. So we have all those services.
Let's start from the beginning. We're going to touch on multiple topics, but let's start with prevention first, and then we'll move into when it's go time, and then also if you are affected in this emergency situation, we'll talk about the recovery period. But to start, it's the prevention and go bags.
Okay. So if you want to mitigate and prevent your home to start with, so there is a defensible space that you need to create ahead of time. This is something that you can do. You should be doing it on an annual basis. You should connect with your city if you're not sure on how to do that. And that is keeping those heavy fuels for fire away from the home and spreading them out in a perimeter. So you want to, all your heavy flammables, you want to be at least 30 feet away from the home. And that would be the trees, we call that ladder fires, where the trees, the big trees, we want them away from the houses because those are what spread. Those are the canopy fires. That's what can go over your home and catch your home on fire. So just mitigation and prevention is important ahead of time. The other thing that you can have, and we should have this anyway because we're an earthquake country, is our go bag. And the go bag, everybody in the home should have their own. Children, pets, they need their food, their essentials, medications, and all that. I brought a sample of a go bag.
Yeah, let's take a look at what's in the go bag.
This go bag, I currently am serving as a fellow with CORE, and they gave this to me and they educated us about it. You want to have your documents prepared, and in here is a waterproof bag. So in case there's flooding, mudslides or whatever, it'll be protected and kept dry. A lot of these documents can be prepared ahead of time on your zip drive. Photos, everything that you want for keepsakes, you get it on a zip drive and pop it in here. What I prepared right now is in here is passports, my social security cards, everything I needed. It's in here because these can be replaced. That's my social security card.
Very important.
They can be replaced, but it's just one more thing that if we have them with us, we don't have to go through that hassle. That Disaster Recovery Center has all those agencies that help them replace these documents in case you don't get those. But if you have them in your go bag, you're good to go. Snacks, this isn't necessary, but sometimes it's good. You need comfort food, especially if you're going through a stressful time. Medications, and in here I have my pet's medications as well as mine. So make sure that we can put those in there. Yeah. And those can be refilled if we're affected. If it's an earthquake, we need to be prepared for at least 72 hours to survive on our own, because all the EMS, they're out there helping the most urgent situations. So if we can provide for ourselves and keep ourselves at bay with what we need, then that helps them.
And I feel like another point to touch on is 72 hours without electricity, without running water. When disaster hits, those things are gone.
They're gone, yeah. You may not be able to get into your building. There's a lot of things that become inaccessible. So we just need to make sure that we have what we need so that those emergency services can help the most urgent needs. It could be longer, hopefully not, but you never know. I have a water bottle, and along with the...
Which you can fill at gyms also, like a 24-hour fitness. You can go in and fill up water bottles. In certain lobby areas of business buildings also have water fountains.
And hotels.
Hotels.
So that's good to have in case you can't find a cup. Then you have your own. I have my marriage certificate. People don't think of that. I have the title to my car. And then I also have, if you have the deed to your house, for me, I rent, so I have my rental agreement. Those can be a nuance later. So just having them with me, makes it easier on me. All these things that I'm talking about are in this guide, and this guide should be in your bag as well. This guide lists the items that should go in your go bag. They also list the items that should go in your stay-at-home box. And again, we mentioned that 72 hours, being able to be self-sufficient and having in that stay box a food, a can opener, water. You should have a gallon per person per day. At minimum, and don't forget the pets. The pets need water too. So this guide goes in your go bag. It has all your important information, phone numbers, contact that, let's say you don't have your cell phone available, it's all printed. This is provided by Cal OES, and you can get this information on listoscalifornia.org. And it's in all different languages. I think there's 31 different languages. So that should go in there as well.
And it's a workbook. It's neat when you open it up inside. I mean, you can talk us through a couple things here, but each page holds its own purpose, but make a plan to protect your people. And then you have all the profile websites. And this is something that maybe if somebody is injured in the household, you can pull this book out.
Yes. And it also has, your numbers for your doctors, your providers. And so basically, there's 5 things that you should have, and this book goes through that. And that is, first, you should know what your alerts are for the local area in case there's a disaster. You have My Shake app. There is...
and that's for the earthquakes.
Yes.
And then there's also one for the fires as well.
And that's called Watch Duty. And a lot of people are learning about that because it's all in
social media. The #1 app in the world right now being used was, Watch
Duty. And I learned about this back in September before this all happened. And I studied it. And if you go into the About section, you'll learn that this app is... taking care of people that provide the information are people that are retired, and they're all volunteers. And all the information they have has gone through credentialed websites, credentialed
That's amazing.
agencies. And so they're not just throwing stuff out there, they're making sure that all that information, they're doing their fact finding before they're posting. And it has the shelters, it has the animal shelters, it has cameras that you can see the fires. It will tell you what's active. It'll tell you the containment percentage, the evacuation orders, the evacuation warnings. So it's very, very informative. And it keeps a history of it, so you can look through the whole thing from start to finish. Yeah, and they do take donation. People at first thought that they couldn't get it because it costs money. It's absolutely free. You can donate to the organization, but that's your choice. But I do like it because a lot of information on social media could be hearsay and not fact-finding. With Watch Duty, you're going to get accurate information. So that's another one. You can go to, I think it's lacity.org and get everybody is dialed in to the earthquakes and any kind of emergency alerts. I think some people got some alerts about the fires that they weren't affected at all. And they're texting me and I'm like, no, you guys are good. Check out Watch Duty. There's no fires there. So those alerts, make sure you sign up for those alerts. The second thing is having a family plan that we were talking about, where we had that we have a list and we have assignments for everyone. They want to have their go bag, and if they have time, they want to have set aside what they're going to take that's important to them. Because sometimes you do have some time to grab other things. And that's on a master list, and that it's, you have one person in charge of that list, and then they delegate what they should be bringing and what they're responsible for. In case it is chaotic, they just have to focus on one thing. And then now we're talking about the go bag. That's number 3. And number 4 is the stay box. And number 5 is get to know your neighbors. It's a really important.
Right.
There's people out there that may have accessibility issues, and they're going to need help. And so just get to know their neighbors. Right. So
let's finish your bag.
Yes, here we go. Portable charger. Very handy. You run out of juice, you've got some spare juice for your phone. N95 masks are helpful to have. And right now we're learning that about the fires, all the debris, it can be toxic.
Right, right.
So it's
the
important.
Air quality is impacted.
First aid kit in case you need something or someone else needs assistance. You can help provide that. This is a little radio.
Nice. Yeah, I have
I
one
think
of
y'all
those.
seen this, and you just wind it up, give it some power, and it's got like a flashlight.
These things are really cool. I really like these. It's a and you wind it up. That's how you charge it, so it never runs out of juice.
Yep.
Yeah, it can take batteries. It also has an FM radio in case we're disconnected, no TV or phones or anything. We've got the radio on there. And it's solar powered.
No Wi-Fi.
Oh, solar powered as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
A raincoat. This is for like hurricane.
Got it.
I got things. Oh, that's my can opener.
Nice.
Wow, that's a very tiny one.
So the raincoat, a poncho, just to keep you dry. And this is, I know this probably figure out, I haven't tried it yet, the world's smallest can opener and the world's most dangerous can opener. Because I didn't like that can opener, I packed one in here myself. So I just got an old can opener.
There you go. Yeah.
Just in case I can't figure that out. And then this is that water straw that you can drink.
The life proof.
Yeah.
Yep.
So having that in your bag. This is me. I gotta have this just in case.
The luxuries.
And then I did pack a flashlight. And
We got 2 flashlights.
I do, and I actually have a third one. I like light. Here's my third one.
I love light.
But you need it.
And a headlamp.
Yeah.
Because what happened is the
Yeah.
electricity went out and people even driving out couldn't see, where they were going and if there were debris in the way.
Yeah, and you can also hand them out with family if they forget theirs. I have an all-purpose Leatherman type of tool.
Ooh, yeah, I like those.
It actually has a screwdriver too, so it has
That's
tools
nice.
as well.
Where'd you get that?
I did a CERC class. That's a California Emergency Response team through the city of Torrance, and they give us this really lovely bag that's filled with all kinds of stuff.
Neat.
Amazing. And this is what was in there.
You can buy this at Home Depot also.
Yeah.
And they're like $10, but don't quote me on it, but they're not expensive, but it really comes in handy for literally anything.
I actually packed an extra bag just in case.
To carry stuff.
It's not funny, but people that are walking around at the Disaster Response Center are carrying papers and they have nothing to put them in. And having a bag to put stuff in can be helpful. Okay, so that's that part. And then these are a couple things I threw in there. They're hand warmers. I'm like, those are sitting around the house.
Yeah. 99 cents each.
Yeah, and then this is a
those are nice.
tool. This is actually a rope. You need some rope. This will come undone. It can be worn as a bracelet. It has a compass on it. It has a whistle. And it has this thing is like a little knife. Yeah, so nice. It's an all-purpose tool. A notepad in case you need to leave information somewhere. You have a pen and paper. It's good to have. I like to make sure I have my toothbrush with me.
I love it.
Well, that's really a really good point. Oh, and this is this the waterproof paper?
I'm not sure if that is. Again, I got that with the CERC training, but it's just good to have because you may need to leave notes.
Right.
For people. A glow stick, just in case your flashlight batteries run out.
Or for pets.
Yeah.
You can find them.
Keep them, put it on them. These are thermal blankets, and they're good if you need to signal, and they reflect, but they also keep the body heat in.
Smart.
And then I did throw in a little hand sanitizer.
Nice.
Great.
So that's the go bag. It goes, I'm trying to be as prepared as possible.
Right.
But you just want to make sure you have that radio, the flashlight. A can opener would be helpful because a lot of the donations we're getting are cans for the food for the victims. But that's the go bag.
Thank you.
Stuff you can buy.
It's a lot. We'll throw it back in here.
Talk to us about, so step 3 is the box. What is the box?
The box, you want to have a lot of what is in the go bag would go in the box. You want your flashlights, toilet paper, water. So it's really important to have the water. I know people have those 55-gallon drums, non-perishable foods.
Right.
And blanket. And any kind of like lantern source. We kind of stay away from candles when there's earthquakes because we don't know if there's any gas leaks.
Right. Okay.
So just having a light source is helpful. And it's eating utensils. And then that live straw would be good for.
Yeah, the life. These are amazing. I've even taken them on hikes, up to Yosemite when you run out of water and you can't carry it all. So,
yeah.
And the design is amazing.
Yeah, and there's in this book as well. It explains what should go in your stay box. We call it a stay box. If you're female, you can do some people need to make a toilet, so having some trash bags in there. So that you can make a makeshift toilet. Even the grocery bags help with that.
Right.
Anything that you would take camping, like think of extreme camping, that should be in your go bag.
Yeah. That should be in your stay box at home. Now, people, I know I'm guilty of this myself, but they leave them there and then they forget about them. But you need to check through those and make sure the food's not expired. And a good time of year to do that, it's like Halloween, when it's time to get out your Halloween decorations. Then pull that box aside and check it. And then maybe another holiday comes up and it's time to get out those decorations. Check it like in springtime. Yeah, just to make sure that they're not expired or something's happened to them. So, and it's good to have, like, if you have those meals that you can prepare for camping
meals,
you add water to
them.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Good. Those are all great tips that people can really, as they're preparing for anything across the world, but obviously as it's hitting home right here in LA and our beach communities. You're now on the front lines and you're providing a lot of resources. We have a lot of friends and family in beach volleyball, but in the whole entire community that have lost everything or know somebody who has lost everything. So what are some of those resources available and what should people be doing right now?
So if they're affected by the fires, there are 2 disaster recovery centers. So most of the ones that are affected by the Palisades, they can go to the one. It's at what was formerly known as the West Side Pavilion. It's now known as the UCLA Research Center. It's on, I think, 10850 Pico Boulevard over there. It's open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. They have a list of all the resources, and people are making checklists so that they can hit them all. Some things that they provide, all kinds of things. They have financial assistance. So basically FEMA's there, the state agencies are there, local governments are there, the city of LA and city of Malibu. The LA County is there as well. Mm-hmm. And then we have some nonprofits that are helping out with the community. And it's all stuff to help expedite whatever documents they've lost, and also provide financial assistance, as well as, you know, people may need a place to stay. Mm-hmm. Some people may be hungry. They have the Housing Authority is there. The Department of Motor Vehicle, some people didn't realize, hey, my title burned up. And so they can get that replaced. Yeah. Some people have lost their IDs. They can take care of that. The Social Security, if you lost your Social Security card, they have that service there. The passports, you know, if you lost.
What does somebody need if they've kind of lost everything to start that process?
They can go in there with nothing. Once you arrive, they're going to do an intake. They're going to take your information. And from there, they're going to have what's called a CRT. And that person is going to navigate them. It's optional. If you just want to go in on your own, you can. But there is a person there that will walk them through. And if they say, I need my passport, they're going to take you right to that table. One of the things I do is when I'm out on the floor, if people don't know where to find things, I'm guiding them to those services. So there's everyone wants to help. And I know the people that are coming in are very grateful and relieved that that helps there. They've serviced some, so far they've had 2,619 intakes, wow. But there's still a lot more. And people are, like I said, some of them are just doing in chunks. So they'll come one day and then they'll come back. And, you know, something they may have forgotten about. Or after seeing the list, it might be overwhelming at first, and then they get a chance to sit down and look at all the services. They'll come back and they'll look into those services. There are agencies there that are giving out financial assistance as well. They have services for pets and animals. The utility companies are there. And I know a lot of people are looking into tax relief. And then the big one right now is the debris removal. Everybody wants to get in there and just clean up, but it is a process. There's a lot of toxic materials, and so the city of LA and LA County are going through a process of how they're going to go about that. So, and
what's kind of step one for somebody who might have been fortunate enough that their home is still standing, but heavily impacted by smoke or, you know, ancillary fire damage with utilities and services? They can
go there as well. And if a person doesn't want to go down to that location, you can start by going to the website. A lot of the information that I'm talking about is on the website.
What's that website again? Okay,
I'm going to give that to you. I need my glasses. It's called emergency.lacity.gov/recovery. Okay. So, and it's all spelled out, emergency.lacity.gov/recovery. And that whole website is dedicated to all those questions that people have and all the resources that they need. It's all there, including the nonprofits that are helping out and the financial assistance.
Right.
Media is not allowed where we are because it is a private, safe space for everyone.
But I think that in itself is a beautiful point too, to make that it is private and confidential, and people can be safe there. They're not, you know, facing media or the outside stuff while they're finding their resources in such a delicate state.
Yeah. I think that everyone's trying to get the information out. And that seems like a lot. Sometimes it's overwhelming. But I would just start with this website And, I maybe they're not hearing enough that they can go to this website and get to the DRCs. I hope that maybe the media can get that out more. But it's important for them to know. And having experienced it, it's a great service, and people that come are very, very happy that that's there, and at least there's people doing something to try and help them.
Right.
In a central location, private. And there's also mental health services for people that have been impacted that just want someone to talk to.
Right.
So,
which is also very important as we rebuild and recover and move through this.
yeah. The mayor's office is there, and they're working hard to keep the resources. And each day the list is growing. I started with 67 resources, and now they're up to 80.
What's your recommendation for somebody who lost their home, car, maybe they are able to get a backpack out? What's step 1, 2, and 3 on the road to recovery? Is it going into your insurance? Is it documents? What does that look like?
Well, first of all, they need a place to stay. Mm-hmm. So I would look for at least short-term locations to stay, somewhere to stay, and getting that food, getting the essentials they need. And that can be done at this resource center. Then step 2 would be getting, if there's bills, where does the mail go? The little odds and ends that we deal with every day, they might want to start looking into those questions that they have. Again, the recovery center has that assistance to get them going. People are like, well, how do I pay a mortgage when I don't have a place? So there's been a lot of interest in the city assessor's office, and there's been a lot of interest in recovering documents they didn't have, like birth certificate, and taking care of the mail. So they're probably going to have to look into a more long-term place to stay. It's going to take a while. So getting back to normal, if they have children, getting them back into school. What does that look like? There's collections being taken right now from the city of El Segundo for backpacks and school supplies for those victims. So that they're out there. There's a lot of resources out there. But yeah, number 1 is just have a safe place to stay and food. And then as far as rebuilding, that's yet to be determined. And that's a city and a county thing.
How long do you see this process for somebody who did lose a home or has now smoke damage in their house? You have to get rid of everything in your house, even if it's still standing, with the toxins from the smoke. All linens, furniture, everything has to be gutted, and then you have to repaint or even tear it down at this point, especially if you're in the eye of the storm there. Yeah. It's going to take years.
I would speculate. I'm not an expert. That's why I'm a fellow. I'm learning. But yeah, I've been told this is going to, we're in it for the long haul. It's not going to be something overnight. It's going to take time. I think what you said is more than what other people are thinking about. When the smoke damage, they're thinking, oh, but when they realize that it does affect everything in their home and they're going to have to replace that, that's going to take a while.
All the vents in your house, your heating, your air conditioning, all of it has to be gutted.
Yeah, and that's why you should go to the Disaster Resource Center and get that information from the experts. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the correct answer for that. But those are things I'm learning along the way.
What are a couple things that you have really stood out to you that you've learned in this process of volunteering?
I've learned a lot. There are courses that I've taken, the FEMA courses, Disaster Ready, Cal OES, and just learning all these organizations and realizing that the scope of care and the scope of resources is huge. It's a lot bigger than I thought. All the little entities that are involved, and there's a lot of little nuances that I don't think about that I've learned about in this whole process. And this has been a crash course We never expected. This is an unprecedented event. You know, this was something that even if we were prepared, it just still took a lot of resources for everybody to come together and do what they're doing.
And if somebody is looking to get involved, like you've gone through the fellowship pathway, you know, what's their first step to get involved in enjoying Americorps and CERC?
You can go to the website. They have all kinds of information. The Red Cross, you can volunteer with the Red Cross. They help as well. Team Rubicon has services, volunteer services. I currently work through CERC at CORE, and CORE is a great organization. It's community organized relief efforts. And they not only do the disaster preparedness and response, they do the climate resilience to try and help prevent and mitigate these disasters.
Tell us a little bit more about that side of CORE.
I'm learning more of that. My interest was to see how the operations of the EOC and all that. But the climate resilience is really important because the weather is what affects us. Hurricanes, these winds that came through 100 miles an hour, flooding, mudslides. So we have to be mindful of our climate. So I'm learning about the recycling, the eco-friendly. You know, we use water bottles, I call them canteens instead of water bottles, so we can save plastic and not use it so much. The one thing that we're really involved with at CORE is doing the community gardens. There's so many little gardens tucked within the city where the community can get involved with. And then I'm learning how that helps with, you know, the composting and stuff like that. So I'm very new at the climate resilience, but I'm finding that it's very important as far as prevention and mitigation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the development of cities going into the future. And I don't know if you've looked into the vertical farming systems that I find pretty intriguing. This is like a side note, but with the overpopulation that's going to continue to grow, especially in cities like Los Angeles, they're going to need more resources. And so they're talking about vertical farms where each level is like tomatoes, lettuce, and it's a building, but you're able to save water because you water it from the top down. So then it's getting, it's like
what you're talking about is exactly what the climate resilience team does with CORE. They're not inventing that, but they're trying to incorporate that in their community gardens and make people aware. It sounds like you know a lot about it.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that subject and how to, you know, be a better footprint in the world and how we can help each other out and just get 1% better every day.
We really need to do 2.5% better.
I like that. You're right. So talk to us now. You know, Vic and I want to get involved, and other people in our community want to get involved in volunteering. So, and lending a hand, where's the best place to go to either make a donation if I'm out of state or out of country, or get involved with, you know, boots on the ground?
Yeah. So I went and checked out some websites that you can go to. There's a lot of organizations out there right now. But you can go to that emergency.lacity.gov/recovery. They have a list of organizations that you can contribute and volunteer at. The other ones some of the organizations that are at the recovery center are Habitat for Humanity. They can help with the rebuilding process. We have LA Works, and they help with all that. They use boots on the ground volunteers. The local YMCAs right now are collecting donations for the victims. They do volunteer. You can go and do one day, or you can go through the onboarding process and volunteer more time with those organizations. And I think they are partnering with the Red Cross. So the Red Cross is a huge national organization, and that would be another one to contact. Just go to their website, and they're accepting volunteers all the time. And there's different types of volunteers. There's people that have certain skills, and they can put you, they can fit you and align you with those skills that they're providing. And the local churches, I'm hearing a lot of the local churches are accepting donations and also becoming distribution centers for those that are affected. So you can donate monetarily or donate like non-perishable goods, or you can donate your service to help them distribute those and collect them. But the one recommendation and the one place I like to go is called Charity Navigator. It's charitynavigator.org. If you go there, most charities, nonprofits go through a vetting process, and they have a checklist that they check out the organizations, and they will rate them. They'll give them a star rating, and they'll also do a percentage. And they rate them based on what goods they do to the community, based on the money that they receive, and also the services they provide.
It's so important to do that because there's not only is there price gouging now with landlords who will be prosecuted if you are doing that, but also these companies are advertising that they're helping people, but they're actually not. I have a firefighter friend who I was telling you we were able to get to, not their base camp, but on their off day, get to their hotel, drop some stuff off. But there was a company that was saying, hey, like, if you know a first responder, firefighter, whoever that needs boots, like, we'll give you boots. And I was like, hey, dude, look at this company. Like, do you need new shoes? And he was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I was up in the Palisades and an ember burnt through my boot, my firefighting boot. Like, that'd be sick. And he reached out to the company and they're like, oh, actually, here's a discount code. And he's like, these are $400 to $500 boots. Like, yes. Are you kidding me? So they're advertising that they're helping first responders, but then they give you like a discount code, and it's happening for like massages or like wherever. So these companies or the websites that you're saying are so important because people are false advertising and trying to profit off of other people's devastation. And it's pretty crazy that that's happening. So, and the GoFundMes also, people are putting up false GoFundMes. Mm-hmm. And so really vet who you are giving your money to, where you are giving your time to, and all the websites that you shared with us are perfect to go into. And especially because they're also vetted and they're ranked, almost like a Yelp, it sounds like.
Exactly. They most of them are on the Charity Navigator, and also these organizations I mentioned are at the Disaster Recovery Center, and there is a process they have to go through in order to be there. Everybody that's there is not, it's not, what do you call it, soliciting. There's no solicitation. Right. So these are all services provided to the victims without any kind of solicitation. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you do come across a fraudulent charity or organization, you can report that. And if you go to that website again, emergency.lacity.gov, you go to that website, you can find the location to report the fraud. So
good. Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing I want to mention, do try and find an organization to volunteer through and go through the process of being assigned rather than just showing up on site and saying, I'm here to volunteer, because most distribution and collection centers have a plan of action and they have already vetted their volunteers. And when you show up at the site, if it's so disheartening to say, oh, we don't need your services today. So approach those organizations, get into their system, have them assign you. Unless their website says, hey, we're accepting volunteers, drop in. Right. It's important to go through the process just so that I know you want to help, but I don't want you to feel like you're rejected.
Right. And that's an important thing when everyone's trying to find ways to contribute to their community and rebuild LA.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of that information. And I really do thank everyone who's volunteering, and all the ancillary services, because without that extended time, even on the apps that we talked about, building that data, we wouldn't be able to do it without people just like you, Shannon. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's it's a big fulfillment for me, and I'm glad to be helping.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Anything else on your list you got in front
No,
of you?
I mean, we covered, and people take care of yourselves, take care of one another.
Know your neighbor.
Yeah, and know your neighbor, because I know we lost some people in the Eaton fire that had disabilities or, needed assistance getting out. It's important. Oh, that's one other thing. If there are people that have disabilities, go to that website, the LA City website, and get those disabilities. They have a whole department on disabilities. It's important for them to know in emergency situations. They do have plans for helping those that have disabilities.
And that's the emergency website.
Yeah, it's the emergency.lacity.gov. Yeah, and I would say that's one of the preparation things that you can do moving forward. Even in earthquakes or any other disaster, there are services that help the people with disabilities.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. And thank you to all the first responders, volunteers. We cannot thank you enough. It takes a village, and it's going to take many years to rebuild Los Angeles. And we give all of our support here at Grit to everybody affected and involved moving forward. We will see you next time. Keep it gritty out there.